You're listening to the E-Commerce Minute, your daily dose of e-commerce, tech, and retail news with your hosts, Bart Miraz and John Suter. The show is a production of Sumo Heavy, a digital commerce consulting firm located in Brooklyn, New York, and Philadelphia. Find us on the web at sumoheavy.com. This episode of the E-Commerce Minute is brought to you by Frameology. Frameology is simple, beautiful framing for the photos you love. Pick a frame, upload a photo, done. Free shipping on orders over $50. Start shopping at Frameology.com. And E-Commerce Minute podcast listeners get 10% off at checkout with the code PODCAST. Frameology. Simple, beautiful framing for the photos you love.
This is the E-Commerce Minute for December 1st, 2017. Drones deliver fried chicken to Fukushima.
It's Friday, and you know that I love my drone stories, so here we go. 7 years ago, a meltdown in a nuclear reactor that was triggered by an earthquake and tsunami devastated a town in Japan's Fukushima prefecture. But the circle of life continues, and life is slowly returning to normal in the Japanese town. But in some areas, convenience stores are still out of reach to some residents. Japanese e-commerce giant Rakuten and convenience store operator Lawson have teamed up to test drone deliveries in Fukushima. Recently, a delivery was made to the residents of Mini Misoma, whose population is made up of mostly elderly residents who are still struggling to obtain daily necessities. The trial delivery was an order of fried chicken and croquettes, staples of Japanese convenience stores, to a 70-year-old man, and according to reports, the man was very pleased with the order. As part of the recovery effort, the city is working with the government to turn Mini Misoma, a mountainous region, into a testing ground for robotics technologies. Rakuten started experimenting with drone deliveries last year, and this year delivered hot soup to surfers on the Fukushima coast over a distance of 12 kilometers. The food items were delivered from a Lawson store in Mini Misoma, which reopened in October 2016. Lawson operates mobile stores, but not all items are available at these mobile sales vehicles. Residents can place their orders at these mobile outlets, after which an employee will call a Lawson store and have the order delivered by drone. Rakuten would say it would test drone delivery programs in Fukushima for 6 months before deciding whether to make it a more long-term offering. The company, it said, is also experimenting with using drones to deliver medicine to residents of Mini Misoma. And I hope I said that right. I probably didn't. I apologize to the citizens of Mini Misoma. So we've heard this story before. We did the one story in Iceland, a very similar test.
I love this. I mean, obviously for medicine, but this makes sense too for places where you really can't deliver stuff, where delivery times and stuff like that has changed. Like, this makes sense. Why? Like, think about the food delivery, right? Like, if there's no roads, you can't really get there. It takes forever. A drone doesn't matter, right? You're just going to deliver it.
So the one thing we always say when we do these stories, it's, in dense areas, it's actually harder to pull something like this off. But something like this, it's absolutely perfect. It's someone who's out of reach, who wants the convenience of a convenience store. As long as it makes fiscal sense. We don't know what they charge for these deliveries, but I'd pay anything for some delicious fried chicken, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but to me, it's more of like, I don't think the delivery, I think it's going to be cheaper for them, right? They don't have to drive. There's no gas. It's just an operator going there, right? It's like, I think it's easier to do, especially in spaces.
Yeah, I think if you're comparing it to, drone versus, an Uber or somebody else driving it, absolutely it's cheaper. I'm just thinking in terms of it's just so out of reach. But again, all you're doing is operating a drone. So it makes perfect sense.
Yes, it is.
And I just love drones, and I'm just
you do.
I'm totally into this drone delivery thing, and I can't wait till it becomes something that we see. Just kind of fascinated with it. But I also like that they're using it to deliver medicine, because that's really a more pressing need in a lot of areas. I'd love to see this kind of thing take off, in some of the harder pressed areas where
I think harder pressed areas, war zones, anywhere like that. I think that's just
famine zones. Yeah, I hope that kind of takes off. That's my humanitarian side. So I'm going to step off my soapbox now. All right.
All right.
Anything else?
Yeah, I would like fried chicken and croquettes now.
All right, I'll get the drone fired up. I'll have it right over to you in about you're in New York, so about 2.5 hours. That's your e-commerce minute for today. It's Friday, so we'll see you on the internet on Monday. That's it for today's show. If you like the show, subscribe to E-Commerce Minute anywhere podcasts are available. You can also read the show notes and listen to previous episodes at ecommerceminute.co. And finally, if you've got feedback or suggestions for the show, reach out to us on social media @SumoHeavy.
podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.